Welcome back to another episode of these crazy people that just eat me and can't stop talking about it and keep talking faster and faster until you can't pay attention. It's Justin and Tom back with another short ribs. So, anyways, it's one of our shorter videos. We're trying to give more concise answers and try and get it done as quick as possible. Try to be concise, as opposed to our longer videos and our live streams, which we do every Sunday, 5 p.m. PST. So make sure you show up because you can comment live. We try and respond to everybody while they're commenting. So go ahead and mob us. And what are we talking about today, Justin?
Hello, hi, welcome. As Tom said, we do our 5 p.m. PST live stream, but please subscribe or stay subscribed, hit the notification bell, slap a chicken bone on the like button if you haven't already. It really helps us out and encourages us and the community to keep doing what we do. And we appreciate each and every one of you. So today's topic is just different kinds of exercise and kind of comparing them, what you do versus what I do versus what other people do, as far as, resistance bands versus old school barbells, and then maybe even talk about cardio. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I do a lot more of the traditional weightlifting with heavy weights, and Justin does mostly X3 bar, which uses bands, rubber bands, giant rubber bands. So we thought we'd dive into that a little bit and talk about the differences. I do use bands. In fact, one of the things I like to do is, because of Smith machine, it's easy to put. Smith machine is like that rack that a bar is attached to, and it slides on bearings, linear bearings. It's easy to put bands on there, and when you put the bands on there, you're not only lifting whatever weight you put on there, but you get what they call progressive loading, right? Which is one of the nice thing about a band is the more you stretch it, the more force it takes to stretch it, right? So it progressively gets harder. So why don't you tell us what you know about using bands there, Justin?
Yeah, so as Tom said, I do use the X3 bar, and I can demonstrate or have a video of me doing one of the exercises if you like. Let's see if I can get this to work.
Guess I should maybe while you're doing that, I'll pull up a picture of the X3 bar.
All right, now we're going to do the bent row. Okay, this was a while back ago. So let me go. We'll just edit this in post.
Not.
Did you say not?
Not. I'll pull up the X3 bar while you're looking at it.
I think I got it now.
I'll show this real quick. So the X3 bar is basically a bar designed to use with bands, developed by Dr. Jaquish. So we know quite a few people that use it. It's a nice compact device. It's well thought out. It's a little pricey, but if anybody's priced gym equipment, you can't buy that many weights for what you get with the X3 bar. So anyways, the website is jaquishbiomedical.com, and Jaquish is spelled JAQUISBIOMEDICAL.com. So anyways, that's Dr. Jaquish's website, or you can buy the X3 bar. Lots of pictures, lots of people using them. You can do things that are like bench press. You can do curls. You can do squats. You could do all kinds of things with this relatively simple device. Like I said, it's well made, right?
Yeah. It is really well made. I really enjoy mine. I've had mine since October of last year.
Hmm.
So was that getting up on 8 months? Something like that?
And you can use it in the convenience of your home, right?
Mhm.
Doesn't take up a lot of room.
Right, yeah, so I can demonstrate, so I'll share my screen.
And these bands are able to exert, forces in excess of like 600 pounds. So imagine having to have 600 pounds worth of barbell or weight around.
Right.
So here you go,
So I
Justin.
believe here I'm doing
All right, now we're gonna do the bent row.
the bent row. This was a few months ago. As you can see, my hair was shorter.
Yes,
And for
very,
some of the
very important.
for some of the exercises, the band is doubled over. So as you can see, you see 4 strands. That's because it's doubled over under the plate. So it comes with the steel plate to stabilize yourself for some of the exercises. And I'm getting a nice back, shoulder, bicep, tricep exercise there. And it's slow. It's supposed to be 2 up and 2 down. So 1, 2, 1, 2. So yeah. And then you go to fatigue until you can't do anymore. And then you'll see me kind of go into like a shorter range towards the end there. I'm starting to fatigue a little bit. Form's starting to go just a little bit. Still kind of keeping it up. Getting a little shorter.
Yeah, so here we see a good example of progressive loading. So as Justin gets to the top of the cycle, it takes more strength to stretch that band out.
Now we're gonna do the bent.
Right. So the idea of the X3 is that when you're at the top or when you're all the way out, you can actually lift or exert 7 times more force than like right here. So Dr. John is kind of anti-weightlifting and anti-cardio. He even wrote a book entitled Weightlifting is a Waste of Time, and so is cardio. He literally wrote the book about that. And one of the things that inspired him to do the X3 and to get into this field was that his mother had really bad osteoporosis or osteopenia, if I remember right. And he was trying to find a way to really help her build up some of that strength and bone strength. And he developed his first invention was a device that helped with that. And that's kind of when he discovered that you're 7 times stronger out than you are in the middle. And so the thing about weightlifting is that when you're picking the weight, you're not just doing 1 rep, right? So it has to be something that's kind of in the middle. You're not picking up the maximum amount of weight that you can pick up, but it can't be so tiny that it's not effective. And so kind of like the best you do is like mid-range stuff, how strong you are in the mid-range, basically with the weight. Whereas with the X3, you can do short range, mid-range, and all the way out at full force. And so you really fatigue the muscle all the way through because you're doing your max, you're doing your mid. Once you get a little tired, then you're doing short once the muscle's really fatigued. And that's kind of the magic, if there is any, to it.
Yeah, and I think there's some evidence suggests that using resistance bands, you're less likely to injure yourself. And then it's probably related to what you said is, particularly like when you're doing bench and you're in tight, you're not as strong as you are once you get out a little ways. So when you're doing particularly flat press on the bench is kind of notorious for people hurting their shoulders, occasionally tearing pectoral muscles and stuff like that. So I guess the data suggests, I haven't really read the studies, but what I've heard is that you're less likely to create those injuries when you're using resistance bands as opposed to heavy weights. So.
Right. And so the reason why I love the X3 is one, the actual X3 exercises themselves can take a half hour or less and feels like you're getting results. You get that burn, the muscle fatigue. I've noticed growth in myself for sure. Um, it's convenient, it's just the bar, the bands, and that plate, kind of take it anywhere. And it's quick, and it's pretty easy to stick to. It's compound movements, which there's a front squat, there's those rows, there's an overhead press, which I like that you're doing compound movements with it. And that it took a while to pick up, but once you get it, like it's really a lot of fun to do. And I just throw on a YouTube or a podcast or something and go to work. And I do it just about every morning. I think current regimen is about 6 days a week, but there's like a 12-week program. And I did the program, the first 3 months or so that I had it. And now I'd say I'm kind of more of a maintenance phase with it, honestly, rather than looking for like a whole lot of growth. Not saying I couldn't grow with it, but I think my wall to growth is getting enough protein, either eating more or supplementing with some kind of supplement protein to get bigger, but since getting it, so I started it soon after or right when I had gotten sick with salmonella. And so I had dropped some weight after that. And so I've put on a good like 9 pounds of muscle since then or something, with it, which is pretty good. And it only took like 6 months or less, honestly. But there's tons of people that have really, really awesome results. I think I'm just genetically stunted in that area, but yeah, it's
Genetically
really
stunted.
genetically stunted. Yeah. Latin genes. We're not known to being big creatures.
All right. So yeah, we'll just disclaim we're not getting paid by anybody to talk about X3 bar, and you don't have to buy an X3 bar to get some bands to do some workouts. So and like I said, at the gym I combine weights and bands. So you'll see people use chains and stuff like that for progressive loading, but that much chain is a lot of money. And if you were going to do it, you'd have to haul it to the gym every time too, which means you're going to have all that chain in your car or something. So probably bands are a lot easier. Most gyms have some bands around, or if they don't, they fit in your gym bag or whatever, easy enough. So bands are a nice alternative. They are arguably a little bit safer and perhaps a little more ideal. Maybe they just fit our physiology a little bit better than heavy weights. And obviously Dr. Jaquish has a vested interest in selling his product. So he's probably going to be very heavy on the side of bands being better than heavy weights. But of course, a lot of people have been using heavy weights for a long time and it generally goes well. So there you go. 2 sides of the coin, 2 options for you, or maybe 3 if you're using both.
And of course, cardio, nice walks are always good. Hitting the treadmill. I mean, I don't know. If you talk to people, if you look at the so-called science on it, doesn't seem like it's worth the time. But if it's what you enjoy doing, hey, I ran cross country and track in high school. I enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. The runner's high. I get it. There's amazing people like Zach Bitter and others that are, what are they? Super marathoners or what is the word? Ultra marathoners. There you go. 100-mile marathons and stuff like that. Hey, more power to them, but they'll even tell you it's not healthy, and they're kind of playing a game with themselves.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, runners typically don't live longer than anybody else. So I think in the back of our minds, we think that cardio is the key to everything, but it's not
I
necessarily.
blame Baywatch because Baywatch has the scene where they're all running, right?
Yeah.
So you want to run.
But I mean, if you enjoy running, why
Yeah.
not, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I know people that have running didn't control their blood sugar, running didn't prevent their autoimmune diseases, and of course, there's all the potential mishaps. I know and where I live, it's heavily populated everywhere. So good luck trying to find a place to run where you're not going to get hit by a car. So,
Or even walk without being hit by a car.
right? Yeah. So, same thing with cycling. It's tough because, it's hard to find ideal places for stuff like that. And, I get it. That's why some people do it indoors, on stationary equipment. So I know, like, I like to walk my dog when it's quiet, and I avoid the busy streets because, who wants to listen to a bunch of cars go by? Right. When you're trying to focus on what your next podcast is going to be about, you don't need cars roaring by you, police chases, mountains on fire, all that stuff that happens around here. So,
Hey, Tom, is fishing a sport? Is that physical activity?
well, it can be. I mean, you got to reel up a deep sea fish from 1,000 meters or something. Yeah. You're fighting a marlin or a swordfish or, pulling in a giant sturgeon. That's probably exhausting. But it seems like most of those people on those boats are suffering because they just drank a 12-pack too. So
I was going to ask about that. What did he?
no, I know guys that are like hardcore fishermen. They hate being on boats with people that are partying and drinking and stuff. But that's what some people do. They like get their buddies together and they go out, they drink a bunch and, hopefully catch something. But then you got the other guys that are like core hard and they're like, they didn't even bring a beer with them, much less, whatever. They're all into catching fish, and doing it as efficiently as possible, which I appreciate because I love it when they bring me bluefin tuna and stuff like that.
I think I was like 26 when I learned that you could get a DUI while on the water.
Yeah.
That does happen.
Well, hopefully whoever's driving the boat isn't drinking. So, yep. So anyways, I think we did a nice little short rib there. Talk about the various types of resistance training and what might be right for you. Anything else before we wrap her up?
No, just that if we didn't talk about what you like to do or feel like we're clowning on what you do like to do, it's all with love. As long as you're getting physical, I think it's important. But I think me and Tom would agree, though, that your physique, your body type, what you're going to create is made in the kitchen and not necessarily made at the gym or with the X3 bar.
Yeah, well, for sure. Diet is probably far more important than whatever exercise you're doing. So I think we have this conversation with everybody. We ask people like John Anderson or Sean Baker or whoever. And I think we've all realized that what you eat is far more important than your activity. And it's important to get that dialed in first, because once you're eating right, then you feel like doing stuff, and then you actually get more benefit from whatever you're doing. Like I said, I know a guy, he had all kinds of autoimmune issues and high blood sugar, and he was diabetic. I think he had ankylosing spondylitis, and all the running in the world wasn't helping him. It wasn't until he changed his diet that that stuff started improving. So I think a lot of us had similar experiences.
Yeah, I was definitely exercise intolerant before carnivore. So for me, that's 1,000% true.
Yeah, I had a similar sort of thing. Like, particularly my lung capacity was bad. I was running out of air, and I was running out of steam. Like, you'd lift a little bit, for a while. And then I used to have all that. My muscles used to hurt really bad. And of course, then I got arthritis and my joints hurt really bad. So now, yeah, I did get some muscle soreness, but not like before. I mean, that's another point I wanted to make. people have pointed out recently, it used to be thought that when you lift weights or do some sort of resistance training, you're actually creating tears or breaking down muscle tissue. And it was thought that all that muscle pain was caused by lactate, or as they used to say, lactic acid in the muscle tissue. But now a lot of people are saying that studies actually say that it's actually the damage to the muscle that hurts and not the lactate or lactic acid, which I think lactate's actually the proper name for the fuel that would be residing in the muscle when you stop that causes the pain. And we also know that you don't actually have to break down the muscle in order to grow more muscle. So it's probably more optimal to use that muscle without really breaking it down that much. And then when you have to do less repair work, you can just add on more muscle more easily because you're not doing the repair work as well. So, and I don't know that you could do any amount of exercise and have no damage to the muscle, but if you're going to the point of exhaustion, there's probably a little bit going on, but I think it's more optimal to do less damage to the muscle and just stimulate it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Stimulating the muscle than damaging, right? And so, yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Getting blood flow, pumping out that glucose, all that stuff. I mean, there's so many things that happen, and well, this will probably be a couple other short ribs, but just on the physiological changes that happen to you while you exercise, and it mirrors or dovetails a lot of what happens when you fast. So you get, similar, what's it called? The
stress response.
Right, but the inflammatory, it's in plants, the reason why you should eat plants or whatever.
Talking about a hormetic effect?
Yes, exactly. You get a hormetic effect from exercise.
Right.
Similar to that of fasting and some other processes.
Yep, you do. So yeah, when you're listening to people talk about the benefits of fasting, and I'm not saying don't fast or fasting is bad or anything like that, but you get a lot of the same exact sort of responses when you exercise as you do when you fast. So, and I noticed, like I was talking about this with Em this morning, it's like, doing cardio fasted was great. It seemed easier and stuff like that, but my goals are really around weightlifting, and fasting clearly was not helping me improve when it came to lifting. So, all right. So subscribe, leave us comments. The more interaction, the better the channel does. The more people we get to watch the videos, the better. Share your stories. It's always, we started doing these videos and being active online because we had great results, and we wanted other people to have great results. And so we always like hearing other people's stories because it's refreshing and it reminds us of why we do this. Because let me tell you, we don't jump out of bed every morning and go, oh, I want to record videos. I can't wait. I'm just so full of ideas. Hurry up. It's all the stuff that we got to do to get ready for a video. That the recording part's easy. We enjoy talking about it and we enjoy interacting with people, but there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that is less rewarding. So share your stories. Let people hear what happened to you and what worked for you, and let us know. Say something in the comments. Let us know if your preference for resistance bands or weights, or whether you never do any exercise at all, because it all matters.
Or
right?
This kind, which is my favorite, if I have to be honest.
Right. All right. Yeah, we got to hurry up. So Justin get back to his Nintendo Switch. So I don't even know what that is. I've never seen one. I don't know what it is, but it's apparently important to him. So till next time, eat some meat.
Feel better.
And whatever you do,
don't fall down the
Nintendo Switch hole.